Good evening, you're watching Estuary News. In the headlines tonight, staff shortages at Grimsby Hospital force patients to travel for treatment, a House of Commons debate on transport infrastructure in the north and shining a light on Hull venue. And later in tonight's programme, I'll be talking to Chris Darlington about planting crocusses for polio, and before that, Katie Chubb and Gough on Movember. Staff shortages at a hospital trust are forcing patients to travel 30 miles away for haematology services. The Northern Lincolnshire and Gough NHS Foundation Trust, NLAG, is considering referring complex cases from Grimsby to Castle Hill Hospital in Cottingham. Outpatient and day case cares will be provided at Grimsby and Scunthorpe. NLAG only has one consultant haematologist, but it can accommodate 4. The decision will affect around 70 patients from today. The Trust says this is initially a temporary arrangement, but it could be permanent following a public consultation. The MP for Hull North, Diana Johnson, is set to lead a House of Commons debate on transport infrastructure investment in the north. The application was made after Chris Grayling, Secretary of State for Transport, recently cancelled rail investment projects in the north, yet granted government backing for the £30 billion Crossrail 2 project in London. Recent figures show that transport investment per head in London is 10 times greater than it is for Yorkshire and the Humber. The debate will be held on Monday evening. A new state-of-the-art venue is hoping to attract major touring concerts and sporting events. Hull venue is due to open next year following a £35 million programme. It'll be headed up by Dan Harris and Paul Savage, who've managed the Baths Hall and Plowright Theatre in Scunthorpe. Paul Savage, the head of entertainment, says everything is on track for the opening.
It's a really exciting project, really exciting time. We open next summer, hopefully get the keys in June. We're looking to host some test events in July and August with hopefully a big name headliner to officially open the building, and then the season officially will start in September next year. It's not just going to be about bringing people into the city and then them leaving again. They'll be eating in the restaurants, they'll be having a drink in the bars, they'll be staying in the hotels. There'll be a lot of extra spend in the city, which will be great for everybody.
Every time we come into the building, there's something new that's happened, or a certain area that's kind of developed a little bit more from last time, and it's great. It's a really good feel whenever we come into the building. So we're starting to kind of just feel the character of the building, and that will come through more as we reach the later stages of construction. We're standing in the main auditorium, and to my left is where the stage would be in a traditional end-on format, and to my right is where the banks of seats will be. So we're really excited. It's starting to feel like a venue, not just a building site, so it's great.
And the Cottingham Centre is to reopen to the public next week. That follows a £500,000 project to provide a number of council services under one roof as part of East Riding Council's drive to be more cost-effective. The centre will offer an integrated library and customer service centre, as well as registration services. It reopens on Monday. A group trying to maintain and improve chalk streams near Brigsley is looking for volunteers. The Lincolnshire Chalk Stream Project Volunteer Group is calling on enthusiastic and willing people to help improve the habitats of local wildlife, including trout, otters and water voles. Will Bartle is the Lincolnshire Chalk Streams Monitoring Officer.
Chalk streams are incredibly rare, a very delicate habitat that we have in Lincolnshire, and we're just looking for people to get involved to try and maintain them because they're so delicate and precious to look after. Chalk streams are called chalk streams because the water is filtered through chalk geology, so you have to have the chalk geology near the surface for the water to filter through. And this makes them incredibly rare. So England's got most of the world's chalk streams, and there's an estimated only about 200 chalk streams in the whole world. So this is why it's vital that we look after them. They're so incredibly rare, so any of these that are lost forever, and we don't get them back. They're like our England's rainforests. We need to look after them. When they're gone, they're gone. So it's really vital that we get these volunteers to help us look after them. Well, we've done some restoration on a lot of chalk streams in the area, and to help landowners out, we've got a volunteer group together to help come and look after them. And the general things that we're looking to do is look after the bankside vegetation, in-stream vegetation, make sure the stream's flowing and the stream's not getting overshaded, which will reduce the amount of in-stream vegetation in the stream.
And anyone wanting to sign up can contact william.bartle@lincolnshire.gov.uk. Immingham is set to be illuminated. It's part of a project to teach young people about the local connection to the Pilgrim Fathers and their journey to the New World in the early 17th century. Over 170 children and young people will be involved in creating crafted lanterns.
We're having the first of our lantern parade, Illuminate Parade workshops. And we've got 6 workshops booked in with schools and community groups between now and the end of November. And we're creating the Illuminate Parade lanterns. So we've got a range of lanterns that have come from the themes that we've been working on. And it's all around the Pilgrim families and commemorating the Mayflower 400 event, which happens in 2020. Immingham is actually one of the founding partners of the Mayflower 400, and so nationally there's 100 locations that are all part of the Pilgrim's story and the Pilgrim's journey. And the Pilgrims went eventually from Plymouth to America on the Mayflower. And then, but we are, as our story, we have a story here because they actually came from Boston. They were imprisoned in Boston. They came from Boston and actually wanted to get to the Humber so they could cross to Holland. And they had a Dutch boat waiting, coming to pick them up. So they got as far as Immingham and Immingham Creek.
Well, I definitely think that first starting building it, it was very exciting to find out what we were going to build and how we were going to build it.
Well, we started building the compass, and me and one of my fellow students, we were making the edge around the compass.
I'd definitely say this has been the best day of my life.
Well, this is it. It is this unique piece of history in our area, and we're connecting nationally and internationally as well, because we're going to be, getting American visitors over wanting to see where the Pilgrims originally started from. And Immingham and our area, it's very important. We're getting really, 400 years of history really on the doorstep, and they're actually understanding their part within that history as well.
Now, it's Movember, a campaign to encourage men to grow moustaches during the month of November to raise awareness of men's health issues. I'm joined now by Katie Chubb and Greg Gough from North Lincolnshire Council to tell me how men can get involved, but how women can get involved as well. And I'm not being ungallant when I say that, because it's for everybody, isn't it? Katie, what is it that North Lincolnshire Council is doing for Movember?
So Movember's been going since about 2003, and the UK have been participating since 2007. And this year we thought it'd be great to do something around men's health issues that's community focused, that's really positive and proactive. So we are doing a bit of an event at the end of the month in partnership with North Lindsey College. That's to celebrate Movember and to get people talking about men's health issues. We've got speakers from Prostate Cancer and the Samaritans coming, so anybody who'd like more information on men's health is welcome to attend that. We are encouraging people across North Lincolnshire to get growing their moustaches, or if you're a woman and you don't want to grow a moustache, to get involved in another way, whether it's setting yourself a fitness challenge, or we've had women knitting moustaches, we've got Health
Knitting
Watch.
moustaches,
Yes.
brilliant. I love it.
We've got some women at Health Watch organising their own Movember event, so anything you can do to get involved, raise money, raise awareness.
Greg, you've got a bit of a head start there.
I have, and really, to be fair, I need to make it into a moustache rather than a full beard. So maybe one evening I'll trim it a little.
Just isolate it for
Maybe go for the
emphasis.
full mutton chops, and we'll see.
Katie's right. There are serious health issues that are unique to men. If one can anything be unique to half a species,
there are indeed,
but
Hugh, yeah.
that don't often get discussed.
There are unique disadvantages that men face in health, but also we talk about things that are common to both sexes, such as heart disease, liver disease, cardiovascular disease, the whole range. Men do tend to suffer predominantly more from those illnesses and die earlier, and suffer worse health in later life. So I think our issue is it's not often acknowledged and it's not often talked about, the disparities that men face in health. And that's what we want to do. We just want this conversation to increase and say, men do suffer generally worse health than women, and we basically want people to talk about that.
So is that a bit our own fault? Are we just a bit lazy and we don't take care of ourselves? Maybe in a way it's because we're not as aware of ourselves.
There's a number of factors, yeah. I think largely it's lifestyle related, so men tend to drink more and probably eat less healthily and don't take exercise. And then there's the old problem of they don't see the doctor as much. And why is that, though? Why don't men see the GP as much? Why don't they seek care for their health? And then that opens up a whole range of questions around, are those services suitable for men? Could they be improved or adapted slightly so that more men would be more willing to go and seek that care and have that conversation in the first place? That's way down the line. What we want is people just initially to start talking about these issues, and then we'll see what we can do about them.
Well, give me your point of view from a female point of view, Katie. Which kind should I grow? A sort of curly one like the guy on the Pringles packet, or do I go for the full Kaiser Wilhelm thing?
Definitely the Pringles packet. I think that would look absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I wish I could. I tried to grow in Movember a few years ago, and it just looked as if I hadn't wiped my nose properly at the end of the month.
Well, you can be in the running for our worst moustache.
Okay, you better just give those very quickly. There's a Twitter account if people want to get involved.
Yes, if you've got any pictures or if you're doing anything to get involved in Movember, please tweet #NLMovember.
Brilliant. Thank you both very much for coming in. Thanks for bringing the tash. Join me after the break. Luke will bring us a roundup of all the latest sports news, and I'll be talking to Chris Darlington about planting crocuses for charity. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, Luke brings us a roundup of all the latest sporting news, and Chris Darlington on planting crocuses, or should that be croci, for charity. There'll be free parking across the East Riding for the 4 weekends in the run-up to Christmas. Cabinet members at East Riding Council approved the decision yesterday, which will apply to all council-run on-street and off-street car parks. There'll be no charge for the weekends of the 2nd and the 3rd, the 9th and the 10th, the 16th and the 17th, and the 23rd and the 24th of December from 8 a.m. on Saturday until 8 a.m. on Monday. It's the 9th year the scheme's been running. Joanna Lumley will headline a business event in Bridlington next year. She'll be the headline speaker at the second Business Day, which takes place at Bridlington Spa on the 8th of June. The event features high-profile speakers and networking opportunities. Over 600 business leaders from across the region attended the year's event, which coincides with the end of Humber Business Week. Artists will take over Ferrens Gallery in Hull for an evening of celebration, creativity and fun. Turner Return is a special late event with live music, film screenings and workshops. There'll be a Dutch-inspired feast, spelt with 2 E's, a Prosecco bar and a barber offering free haircuts. Organisers hope the event will encourage new and younger visitors to the gallery. It's part of the Turner Prize of 2017 and it'll be held on the 16th of November. Young entrepreneurs across Lincolnshire are being encouraged to try out their own business idea. The first ever youth market will be held in Scunthorpe, where 16 to 30-year-olds can try their hand at running a business. Anybody interested in starting a business can apply for grants of up to £1,000 via UK Steel Enterprise. And that takes place on Saturday the 2nd of December along the High Street from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. A popular annual charity Golf Day has raised over £27,000 for local charities. The Fast Cabs annual charity Golf Day was set up 14 years ago by the late Jodie Bray, and the event has continued in her memory every year. The day has now become a major event in the local golfing calendar. This year's winners were Grange Park, who were captained by Jim Herbert, and they were closely followed by the Turner Warren team. £1,500 was raised at this year's event, which was split between Lindsay Lodge Hospice, Macmillan Scunthorpe, and the Cardiac Rehabilitation Interest Group. Thousands of crocus corms are set to be planted in Brigg as part of the Purple for Polio initiative. I'm joined now by Chris Darlington from Brigg Rotary Foundation to tell me more. Chris, welcome. Thank you very much for coming in.
Good to see you.
A very elegant crocus that you're wearing there.
It is. Wonderful.
And a purple crocus. I always think of them as yellow, as saffron.
Yes, there are all sorts of different colours. We've chosen purple because when children are vaccinated, for polio. And we've now done 1.5 billion children since 1985. We dip their finger in a purple dye. And before we leave the village, we get all the children to put their hands up and we can see the children that we've missed. So hence purple.
Now we'll talk about the vaccinations in a moment, but what's the actual crocus planting operation going on? What's that doing?
The planting operation is, at the moment we're selling crocuses, 10 for £1, and some people will donate the crocuses back to us, and last year in fact we had over 25,000 crocuses donated back to us. So with the help of the ATC in Brigg, we actually planted them. In fact, we did a major planting a year ago, very nearly this coming Saturday, where we planted 5,500, and that was mainly across the verges of Brigg, or rather in people's gardens.
And that's going to be one magnificent display in February.
It is, and it was wonderful. I mean, this year they came up in February, and it was really good to see. And it also reminded people about why we were trying to do it in the first place.
If people want to buy a crocus, or buy 10 crocuses, or plant any, how should they get in touch?
Very easily. All they have to do is Google Brigg Rotary Club or Rotary Club of Brigg, and there will be a link to us on that. Or if they can go into the Brigg Tourist Information Centre and just drop their name in with a contact number, and we'll follow that up.
Now, this money that you're raising is doing very important work. I'm just about old enough to remember I had teachers at school who had limped because they'd had polio.
Yes.
when they were young. So I guess they were probably young in the 30s.
Right.
We don't have it in this country very much.
Not any longer. The last time we had polio in this country was 1958. And I'm young enough, unfortunately, to remember children in my class with metal calipers and going to see a friend in a hospital full of the steel machines to actually allow them to breathe.
The iron lungs.
Yeah, the iron lungs. Terrible sound. I will remember it until I die. Basically, what happens is that children become paralysed, and the actual disease attacks their muscles, and in most severe cases, particularly around the lungs, if they can't breathe, they will die.
Now, this is a much more common disease abroad, and this is where you're working.
Yes.
When your organisation started approaching this back in when, the 1980s?
1985, Rotary International made a pledge that we would eradicate polio. There's only ever been one other disease that's been eradicated, and that was smallpox. So it was a major promise, and that promise is still with us today. Back in those days, there was something like 10 to 12,000 cases reported every year. Even in India, in a week. Yeah. In India, there was approximately 150,000 reported in 1 year. We've now reached a stage where we've only had polio outbreaks happening in 3 countries. When we first started, it happened in 150 countries worldwide. Now it's only in 3 countries, mainly Pakistan and Afghanistan, and we had one small outbreak in Nigeria last year.
When you say a small outbreak, how many people are you talking about?
Right. My last figures, which I could link to before coming here, was on the 25th of October. On the 25th of October, there were 12 cases. Those 12 cases were linked to Pakistan and Afghanistan. We know why, because of the war.
12 cases
12
worldwide.
cases worldwide. A massive. 99.9% we are so close. And then people start relaxing. And because people start relaxing, they will not buy or provide any money, and that's why we're planting the crocuses.
Good luck, Chris, with that campaign, and I don't think anybody's going to be relaxed after that. and Brigg is going to look absolutely beautiful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Here's Luke with all the sports news.
Scunthorpe United drew 1-1 away at Doncaster Rovers in the Checkatrade Trophy Group stages last night, but lost 3-2 on penalties. Despite losing in the penalty shootout, the Irons still finished top of their group on goal difference and progressed to the next round alongside second-placed Rovers. Liam Mandeville fired the hosts in the lead during the first half, but debutant Clayton Lewis equalised with a neat finish. There was a slow start to the match, but the first shot of the contest was by Kevin Van Veen in the 15th minute. In the 85th 25th minute, Doncaster were close to regaining their lead, and in the dying stages of the game, the Iron came extremely close to winning the game. Hull City lost 3-1 to Middlesbrough last night. The Tigers lost for the second time at home in as little as over 72 hours. The team played well in the first 5 minutes and had a couple of chances, but after conceding a very simple goal, they lost control of the game. The Tigers lost 30 minutes in the first half after losing momentum following the first goal. Head coach Leonard Slutsky said he can't afford to lose confidence in his players. The team are next in action when they play Sheffield United at Bramall Lane. Kick-off is at 3 p.m. Hull FC will kick their 2018 Betfred Super League season off at home to Huddersfield Giants. The club head into next season as the back-to-back Challenge Cup winners, who will host Rick Stone's side in the opening round of the competition on the 1st of February before creating history in round 2. The Black and Whites and Wigan Warriors will then head out to New South Wales on the 10th of February to play their first ever Super League game outside Europe in Wollongong. Both teams will then compete in a historic doubleheader in Sydney, with the early birds facing St George Illawarra Dragons and the Warriors battling it out with South Sydney Rabbitohs on the 17th of February. And there's been a new signing at Hull KR. Former Leeds Rhino skipper Danny Maguire will move away from Headingley for the first time in his career to join the Robins on a 2-year contract from 2018. He'll arrive at Craven Park on a high, having steered his former club to grand final glory last month, whilst also picking up the Harry Sunderland Trophy for a man of the match performance at Old Trafford. Maguire said he's excited about committing to the cause at Rovers. And that's all for the sport.
Thanks very much, Luke. That's all for tonight, and apologies to anybody who didn't manage to get to see the advert break in the middle of tonight's programme. If you have a news story, then please visit our Facebook or Twitter pages, email news@estuary.tv, or phone Grimsby 01472 31 553 for this evening. Good evening.